In lecture series on Introduction to Radar Systems, right now we are going to discuss magnetron oscillator. Several type of magnetron oscillators are there, but for the sake of simplicity, we are going to discuss only the cylindrical traveling wave type magnetron. So let us consider few features of magnetron tube. It generates RF field, means it is an oscillator. It is a crossed field tube or M-type tube. That means magnetic field will take part the interaction process between the electrons and the RF field explicitly. Is it a resonance type? That means it consists of cavity resonators. It does not require any RF input since it is an oscillator. Frequency of oscillation is determined by cavity dimension. Only cylindrical type magnetron that I have said that thing, cylindrical type magnetron will be discussed. Different type of anode cavities are possible. So you can see different type of anode cavities are there. This is the vane type, slot type, rising sun type, hole and slot type. These are coupled cavity. That means if some change takes place in one cavity, that change will be reflected in other cavities as well. They are coupled to each other and the coupling must be strong enough. Maximum peak power of 2 megawatt at X band and 8 kilowatt at W band. Typical duty cycle is of the order of 0.01 and typical efficiency is of the order of 40 to 50%. So if you consider this structure, this is the cylindrical structure where the cavities are made, and inside this cavity there is a hollow space where the electron and RF field will interact, and at the center part we have cylindrical cathode, this one or that one. Now electric field is given with the help of these two leads. So one will be connected to the cathode, another will be connected to the anode block. There must be some cooling fans or cooling fins to cool down the magnetron, and magnetic field is given with the help of two permanent magnet like this one and that one. So this is the structure of magnetron. So now consider the basic structure. The top view. From one cavity we will take the output. This one is the cathode. This is the interaction space, and these are the cylindrical cavities, and this is the anode block. This colored block is the anode block. So first, to understand the basic principle of operation, we have to understand the motion of electrons inside this interaction space. And since we have actually three type of field present in this interaction space, one is the DC electric field, another is the DC magnetic field, another is the RF field. So it becomes a complex phenomenon to understand. So what we do, we will try to understand the electron motion one by one. That means if we consider what will be the electron motion in presence of only electric field, then we will consider the electron motion in presence of electric and static magnetic field, and after that we are going to consider the electron motion under the three fields: static electric field, static magnetic field, and the RF field. The electric field is directed axially inwards and magnetic field in axial direction. Electrons emitted from hot cathode will move axially outwards in presence of electric field only. So this is the motion of electron directly axially outward in absence of any magnetic field. That means when the magnetic field is zero, The electrons will emitted from the cathode and will go directly axially outwards towards the anode in a straight path. In presence of magnetic field along with the electric field, electron motion is governed by Lorentz force equation, F equal to minus E into E is the electronic charge, E plus V cross B, where V is the velocity of electron, B is the magnetic induction, E is the applied electric field, so F is the force. So with increasing magnetic field, electrons will bend in azimuth direction. So they will bend in this way, and they will try to follow a circular path. This is a circular path, like this one. This is a circular path. So more the magnetic field, like this one, more the magnetic field, the electron will bend. If we increase the magnetic field, electron will bend more, and if we increase the magnetic field more, the bending will be more, and ultimately it will come back to the cathode, because the radius of curvature of this bending is so small that this electron will not be able to reach the anode. It will come back to the cathode again. That means the motion of electron in absence of RF field, if you don't consider the RF field, it will be actually controlled by the magnetic induction or magnetic field. Now under Hall cutoff condition, the magnetic field, Hall cutoff condition of magnetic field, the electrons will just touch the anode at an angle 90 degree, and above that field the electrons would come back to the cathode again. That means Hall cutoff condition is the critical condition where the electrons will just touch the anode. So this one is before Hall cutoff, this one is just at the Hall cutoff, and this electron is above the Hall cutoff. That means under this situation, for this electron, the magnetic field or magnetic induction is above Hall cutoff condition. The Hall cutoff magnetic equation can be written in this way. We are not going to discuss the mathematical derivations of these things, but thing is that this Hall cutoff magnetic induction is actually dependent on various factors like A, B. A is this radius, B is the radius of the anode, and M is the mass of electron, E is the electronic charge, and V0 is the voltage in the trip space. So everything, if we change any one of them, like if we change V0, if we change B, if we change A, then Hall cutoff condition will be different. But for a particular type of magnetron, A and B are fixed. So if we fix the value of V0 for a particular value of V0, VOC is constant. That means for a particular magnetron, VOC becomes constant. For given V0, if B is greater than VOC, then the electron will not be able to reach anode. They will come back to the cathode again, this one. For normal operation of pi mode, B is kept greater than Hall cutoff field. That means for normal operation of magnetron, in absence of RF field, the electron should come back to the cathode again. So this is how we have to choose the magnetic field or strength of those magnets. Now what is the meaning of this pi mode? For pi mode, RF field in adjacent cavities are 180 degree out of phase. So if the field inside this cavity is starting at this point and ending at this point, the field in the adjacent one will be just opposite. That is why it is called the pi mode. Now consider how the interaction takes place. Here we consider an electron named as A. Since the magnetic field should be at higher than the Hall cutoff condition, original path, in absence of RF field, the original path of that electron A is this A0. That means it should first it will move towards the anode and then it should come back to the cathode again. This was the original locus of the A electron. Now in presence of RF field, what will happen? Electron A will deviate from its original path as it is parallel to the component of RF field present inside the cavity, thereby releasing its energy to RF field. So near this region where the A electron will see that there is a RF field parallel to its motion, it will give some energy to the RF field present inside this cavity. So electron A will lose some of its energy. Since it is losing some of its energy, its velocity will be lower. So magnetic force on lower energy and hence low velocity electron will be smaller. Since because of magnetic force, the bending takes place. So magnetic force on A becomes smaller. That means it will bend less. Now the electron will bend less. So instead of going to its original path, electron will move in that way. Now to so electron locus will follow a larger radius of curvature like this one. Instead of this small radius of curvature, A electron will follow a larger radius of curvature. And to pass first cavity, the electron should take exactly T/2 amount of time, where T is the period of oscillation. So at this point, it will take T/2 amount of time to reach this point. Now at this point, when the electron A reaches second cavity, the polarity of the cavities would alter, because after T/2 the polarity of the cavities would alter and will release more energy to the field in a similar way. So the condition will be just reversed. Right now it is showing it is anti-parallel, but actually what happens at this point, the polarity of the magnetic of RF field would change. So arrows here, these arrows should be reversed. That means when the electron will pass through this cavity, it will face again the parallel field and it will give some of its energy again to the RF field present in this cavity, in the second cavity. So in this way, A electron will lose more energy and will move more towards the anode, and finally, after giving its energy to several number of cavities, it will ultimately go towards the anode with very less amount of energy. So it will get absorbed by the anode. But that's not all. If we consider another electron whose condition was just opposite, that means this B electron will face or will see an anti-parallel type of field. So what will happen to that particular field? That particular electron. So B0 was its original path. For B electron, B0 was its original path. So what happens to it? For B electron, the situation is just reversed. Hence, instead of releasing energy, it will gain energy from the field. That means its velocity will increase along the magnetic field force. So B electron will also deviate from its original path, B0, and would follow a path with lower radius of curvature, because magnetic force, since the velocity is increased for B electron, the magnetic force on B will be larger, so it will bend more towards the cathode. The electron A, this one, is favored electron, and electron B is called the unfavored electrons. As favored electrons form bunches using phase focusing process, their interaction is much higher compared to unfavored electrons. Hence, ultimately, there will be effective gain in RF energy. But what happens to the unfavored electrons? Unfavored electrons actually heat up the cathode during its return with higher energy, because they are returning to the cathode with higher amount of energy, as they have extracted some of energy of the RF field. So it is hit back to the cathode with higher energy, and because of this heating, it will generate heat. So thermal energy or temperature of the cathode would increase because of this return journey of this type of unfavored electrons. So that may help the electron generation process even if filament supply current is switched off. So in different fashion, the unfavored electrons can help the electron generation process without filament supply current. Now we will consider the bunching formation using phase focusing technique inside the magnetron tube. Unlike reflex klystron, where bunching formation is done, or bunches are formed with the help of velocity modulation. Here, the bunch formation technique is called the phase focusing. To understand this, consider these electrons. B and C emitted at same time, but face the RF gap field at two different time instants. The reference electron B finds the gap field at the maximum of the cycle, but C electron slightly lags behind the field maximum. Now on emission from cathode, electron B faces a tangential component TB, which is more than the tangential component field of the field TC faced by electron C. But the radial component of the field RC, this one, is more than that of the radial component RB on the B electron. So RC is more compared to RB. The DC magnetic field exerts a stronger force on C, this electron, tending to bend it back to the cathode and accelerating it in anti-clockwise direction. That means the electron will bend more compared to the electron B. So lagging electron C gets a good chance to catch up with the electron B. In similar way, leading electron D is retarded. That means the case of D is just opposite to that of C. So leading electron D is retarded and also gets caught up by reference electron B, because for D electron the radial field RD is smaller and tangential field TD is larger compared to the B electron. So it will experience less force and it will bend less. So B will follow its path, C will bend more and D will bend less, so they can catch each other to form the bunches. So B, C and D electrons along with all electrons within this region are brought to form a bunch in the anode cathode spacing by phase focusing. Result of this bunch formation is the wheel-spoke situation of electron cloud in the anode cathode space. So bunches are formed, they are delivering their energy to the field, and all these bunches are actually rotating in this way. So spoke of electrons form continuously with RF gap field and rotate in synchronism with RF gap field, delivering energy to the cavity system. That is why this type of magnetron is called traveling wave magnetron. So if we can see somehow, if we can see the electron motion, you see that these spokes are actually rotating at a speed of the RF field. But actually we cannot see it because electron is invisible. But if we could have seen these electrons, that would the picture will be like a wheel spoke rotating at a speed of microwave. Now consider the mode jumping. Now, several closely spaced resonances are possible due to presence of multiple coupled cavities. This results in sudden change in oscillation at reduced power and at a wrong frequency. This phenomena is called the mode jumping. That is the problem of the magnetron tube. Suddenly it can go to the other mode where the power output becomes lesser. To prevent this, we have the remedy, and the remedy is the strapping ring, and another remedy is the rising sun. So let us try to understand these two. First, consider the strapping. Two thick wires, these two thick wires are connected to alternate anode poles. So if this wire is connected here, then this will not be connected the next one, but the next of the next one. So alternately it will be connected. At the same time, the other ring, since this ring is connected here, the other ring will not be connected here, that will be connected to the next pole. So in this way the connections are made. So this ring is connected here, the other ring is connected in the adjacent pole, this ring is connected here, and so on. For pi mode, there is no potential drop along the ring because this one is positive potential, this was in the same potential, this is in the same potential, and so on. Hence the ring produces capacitive loading on the cavities that decreases the resonant frequency for pi mode. For non-pi mode, a potential drop, because non-pi mode means if this one is at zero potential, this one will not be, this one is at say zero phase, this one will not be at 100 degree out of phase, something it may be 180 degree or it may be 200 degrees, something like that. It will not exactly 180 degree, and that is why for non-pi mode a potential drop is produced along the strapping ring. Since the potentials are different, so that will produce a current along the strapping rings, which produces a current flow in the ring. Since there is a current flow, that causes an inductive loading on the cavity, thereby increasing the resonant frequency for non-pi modes. So thus strapping rings well separates the resonant frequency for pi mode and non-pi modes, which in turn reduces the possibility of mode jumping. Another method is the rising sun. Now what happens in millimeter wave region, strapping length becomes comparable to the wavelength, thereby increasing loss. Also, construction and connection of such small straps becomes difficult because the size of the cavities in millimeter wave will be very, very small. So under this condition, the rising sun technique is used where two sizes of resonators with completely different frequencies are used. So here we have used, since it is a 8 cavity klystron, so 4 cavities are with larger dimension and 4 cavities are with smaller dimension alternately. So pi mode of both sets of resonators couple strongly, and the resonant frequency becomes intermediate between both the sets. So higher cavity means smaller frequency, smaller cavity means larger frequency. So if this frequency is f1, this set of frequency is f2, then the for pi mode, the resonant frequency, coupled resonant frequency will be somewhere between the midway between F1 and F2 for pi mode. For non-pi mode, coupling is weak and individual resonant cavities frequencies remains same. So pi mode and non-pi mode frequencies are well separated, thereby reducing the possibility of mode jumping. So this is what you call the rising sun technique. Now the frequency tuning. So one technique is called the cookie cutter. So what happens? This is the capacitive type of tuning. A metallic ring is brought in space between anode and cathode where the RF electric field is high. So this is what you call the cookie cutter. There is another technique called the crown of thorns. In this case, this is the inductive tuning. So this inductive tuning is done by inserting a conducting rods in the hole part. This is the hole part of the hole and slot cavities in the anode where the magnetic field is high. Now combination of these two types result in very wide range of tuning. Using some servo mechanism control and microprocessor, the tuning system becomes frequency agile and dither tuning of magnetron. So this is very useful as noise anti-jam technique, which is used in ECCM in the radar or electronic counter measure. The application of magnetron as RF source in radar, microwave oven, etc. So that's enough for the day. We'll see you in the next class.